Hello, everybody. Greetings to all. Welcome to the Snooker Hall podcast. I'm Dan Murren. The biggest event of the snooker calendar may be in the books, but snooker doesn't sleep for long. Q School is fast approaching, and Pro Tour cards are up for grabs there. The Seniors World Championship wrapped up at the Crucible on Sunday. Huge congratulations to AB of London, Alfie Burden, for winning that event. Today's guest on the Snooker Hall podcast is not eligible for that competition, and he won't be for a fair few years. He's definitely on the younger end of the player spectrum, but for several years already, snooker fans across the world have enjoyed watching him on the bays. It's a pleasure to welcome Jackson Page to the Snooker Hall podcast. Jackson, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, cheers, no worries, yeah.
So, what can you tell us about Jackson Page? You're a Welshman. Where are you from in Wales?
Yeah, from Ebervale, a little town not far from where Mark Williams lives. I've been playing since I was a baby, obviously, and managed to turn pro about 6 years ago, something like that. And just gone from there, really.
Ebervale, just about, it's north of Cardiff. So, what about an hour?
About 40 minutes from Cardiff, half hour, 40 minutes from Newport as well.
Which other sports are you into?
I've played a little bit of golf, single figure handicapper in golf. A little bit of darts, play for a local team in darts. I'm not brilliant, but I can play now and again. That's about it, really. Yeah.
Well, I've got a few questions on this then. So you're not too bad at darts. You're not Luke Littler, but can you hit a 180 from time to time?
I can hit a 180, yeah.
9 dart finish?
No, I'm not a 9. No, I'm not a 9. Never that close, really.
And golf single figure handicap. That's pretty impressive. I've noticed that a lot of snooker players. I spoke with Louis Heathcote maybe over the winter, and he seems to be a pretty solid player as well. Who's the best snooker player at golf, would you say?
I think I've never played with him personally, but I've heard that it's John Parrott. I've heard he's the best golfer, yeah. There's a few players really low handicaps, like Hendry, Selt, Murphy. They're all quite low handicaps, but I think Parrott's off like scratch, and I think he's an actual scratch, should I say? Not a fake one. But I think that's as far as I've heard, he's the best.
John Parrott. I wasn't expected to hear that actually. So, no, I saw John Parrott over the World Championship in Sheffield. Didn't really get a chance to talk to him much, but said hello.
Yeah.
You're a pro snooker player now, and you have been for a number of years, despite your relative youth compared to most of the tour. Wales has a great history of fantastic champions in snooker, and last year, unfortunately, I would say the sport, but the world lost Ray Reardon and Terry Griffiths. Did you have the honour of spending much time with these men?
I don't think I met Ray. I can't remember ever meeting Ray. Maybe I have when I was younger and I haven't realised. But I met Terry a few times, I used to chat to Terry quite often. I used to go down to his match room in the Netherley and have a few games with Jimmy Clark down there. And Terry would walk in, and he was quite a funny guy. He'd come in and say hello, and he was. Yeah, I met Terry, quite a few times.
And you mentioned that you've been playing since you were, a baby, in your words. Were you a wunderkind in the local area? And people were expecting big things from you?
Only when I turned around 14, something like that. 13, 14. And then I won the World Under 18s when I was 15. That was when they sort of started expecting things. And that's when I started winning everything, really, in the juniors and stuff. And then since then, obviously, I've gone from there, really.
And who's helped you along the way? Because no one can do it alone. In terms of guidance, mentorship, motivation, who's been in your corner?
My dad and my bump started me off, and then my bump took me to all the junior academies, in Lee Walker's junior academy and stuff like that. And then I've had I was about, I want to say 11, something like that, when I started going to Mark's club, and Simon, who owned the club, sort of took me under his wing, give me some free practice and stuff like that. And then when I was about 13, I started playing with Mark, and then I got sponsored by Ron Skinner's. We're all kind of a little team, really. And yeah, since then, it's just been progressing then since then, really.
There does seem to be an association with Mark Williams. How does that come about? Someone will say to Mark Williams and to Lee Walker, this kid might have something here. Maybe we should take a look at him, see if we can give him guidance, some mentorship. How does that
Yeah. I was just going to the club regular, and I suppose they may have just seen something in me. So that's when I got offered the free play at the sponsorship, and then when I was about 13, I started playing with Mark every day. And I suppose we just become good friends as well as I get older. So it was great.
I was speaking to one of my mates in the pub. What day was that? That would have been on Saturday afternoon. And we were speaking about young footballers, and Manchester City came up, and it was Phil Foden learning how to play in that midfield role, but learning from Kevin De Bruyne and David Silva, two
Yeah,
great Premier League midfielders. Like, this is an education that money can't buy. But to learn from Mark Williams when you're still a teenager, like, this
yeah,
is,
yeah.
I mean, you can take this one of two ways, I guess. It could be the greatest education money could buy, or it could be completely daunting to work with one of the great players in
Yeah,
history.
I suppose it depends what type of character you are, really. Like,
I
I
agree.
was
Yep.
ready to learn off him. I get hammered 10-0 one day, 18-1, and I come back the next day wanting more. Do you know what I mean? That's what I used to do. Until there comes a time where you start to win yourself. And it still doesn't happen all the time. It's still now and again I win, now and again you win. But I used to get so many hammerings, and just kept coming back for more.
Picking balls out of pockets a lot, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And your thoughts on Mark's run to the final this year?
Yeah, it was a great run. I think you wouldn't mind me saying that we probably weren't expecting the final, after the situation with his eyes and stuff like that. And I know myself, I obviously I've been in the club with him. I know he was really struggling, with his eyes, and to get what he did was absolutely unbelievable.
I think a lot of snooker fans, they do like Mark Williams, unless he's beaten like maybe their hometown favourite or something like that. But I think he's always come across as a very genuine man. And I thought
Yeah, yeah,
after, he's just lost the world final. He's not going to be jumping for joy, of course, but I thought he spoke with grace, and I thought he spoke in a very sportsmanlike way. It was nice to see that, because it can't have been easy for him to lose in that match. And yeah, I thought it was a nice moment. I thought it was really good for the sport that he just
yeah.
said,
I
look,
mean,
Darren, he's right over there.
yeah. As soon as the match is over, any match he plays, he's literally like a switch flips, and he couldn't care less about the match. It's mad. I don't know anyone else that can do that, but like he could just lose 10-9 on the black or something. And he come out and he's laughing. He don't care. Like it's just mad. He come out laughing, joking, like he hasn't even played the game. And he's same if he wins. It's no change really in his attitude at all, which is mad. Really, I'd be tamping. I'd be fuming. Like, but I wouldn't show it. But in the room, I'd be fuming. But he
Even,
actually doesn't show a thing.
but I suppose this kind of what makes him different to most players. That temperament is like, well, life goes on. It's actually a really good attitude towards life, not just snooker.
Yeah, yeah,
Things go against you. It's the way it goes.
yeah,
When he lost to Judd Trump in Riyadh earlier in the season, 10-9. Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
one ball away, and obviously not just winning the trophy, but the prize money in that event as well was
yeah, yeah. Yeah, but again, he was, obviously he may have been a bit gutted, I suppose, but he didn't really show it. You know what I mean? He was fine, and then obviously in the club, you might take the mick out of him a bit, laugh and joke, and he'll have a laugh and joke. He may have hurt a bit more than the usual jokes, but yeah, no, he was fine. He's all good.
And you played him at the Crucible, maybe is it 3 years ago?
Um, oh yeah, something like
20.
that.
What was that like? As someone who you've known for a long time, someone who
Yeah,
I
well,
would assume you grew
yeah.
up idolizing, that must be kind of surreal, right?
Yeah, it was mad, really. I beat Barry first round together, and I played really well, and then I just didn't get a shot against Mark. It was just insane. It's just like I'm leaving him tight rail off my break, and he's just dropping long reds in, dishing up. I'm just like, wow. He's never done this to me in practice. Never mind a match. Do you know what I mean? But I think part of it was because there's absolutely no pressure on him as well, because he wants to win, obviously, but at the same time, he doesn't really mind if I win. I guess so. Yeah, it was absolutely no pressure on him, and I think that's why he played so well.
In terms of pressure on you, you've had a couple of good results this season. Okay, you haven't lifted a trophy this season, but how many players have?
Yeah,
But you made the final at the Championship
yeah,
League
yeah.
season.
It goes,
A couple of
yeah,
quarters.
final at the start.
Semi.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, final, semis, two quarters. Yeah, I qualified for York as well. Obviously, I failed to qualify for the World, but it is what it is. Yeah, so it's been okay. I think the semis was the back end of last season, but yeah, it's been okay.
mhm. And you said you didn't qualify for the World Championship. You had a pretty uneventful World Championship qualifying run, didn't you? It was
Yeah, well, the first game went too bad.
who were you playing in the first game?
Allan Taylor.
Oh, that was the first. Yeah, of course it was. And then it
Yeah,
was.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I thought no, you didn't have a match before that. Yeah, okay. Um, someone suggested on X that introduce you to the podcast, then say goodbye, and then reintroduce you. It'll be the first time that someone's been reintroduced to the same podcast. I thought there was some humor quite good, but maybe we'll leave that for another time. Um, I mean, yeah, this got a lot of attention. Obviously, no one has ever done this before in a competitive match. Were you aware of this, or was this even a factor in your mind when you were clearing
yeah.
up on the second break?
Yeah, I knew before the first ball was potted in the second break that that's what I was going to go for. Um, it was more to do with the money involved for doing it than than doing it itself. Really, the 147 bonus was enough to persuade me to go for it.
Yeah, it's worth the risk, right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I remember it was years ago. Ronnie O'Sullivan was playing Mark King, and he potted one red, and then
yeah,
he asked the referee, "What's the prize for a maximum?" But then for the mere mortal snooker player, it's like, well, how does he know he's going to have a chance at a maximum? But you've just said there that no, you kind of know. And I was at the Masters in Alexandra Palace when Sean Murphy hit that maximum, and I took my mum to that session, and it was the first
yeah,
session she watched live, and she gets a maximum, so it was great.
yeah,
But after two reds and two blacks, you think something just switches in your mind. It's like, oh, maybe, and then you're kind of disappointed when someone goes up for a blue as a fan. But
yeah,
frame is the most important thing, is what the commentators will always say.
yeah, yeah. Usually the case, that's to say, it's the first two 147s I've made on the tour because I never usually go for them. I just try and win the frame, at all costs. And after I managed to make the first one, the first one was on really most of the way through. The second one, then the first red, I'd usually just turn up for the blue. I'd never do what I did, but I was 9-2 up. The situation was as it is, and I've decided to play with a stack aside, round the back of the black, and go for it. So I thought that's what I did. I flicked the black on the way through, but it still went, and yeah, the rest is history.
As I say, it got a lot of attention, and rightfully so. Was this distracting for you? Obviously, you ended up winning the match anyway, but after the match, you had to face Joe O'Connor next. Was it a distraction? Was it emotionally draining?
Um,
Or were you just
Maybe
pumped up after?
there's a lot of media stuff I do. I was doing media a lot after that, which was fair enough. Obviously, what I did, I suppose. But no, I mean, I didn't play it nowhere near as good in the last round against Joe as I did. But I suppose it's hard to play that level all the time. And Joe played well. We finished well second session. I missed the blue in the first session to go 5-4 up. Maybe it's a different game there. Maybe I run away with it and go through. But Joe played well back end of the second session, and he deserved it in the end.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Joe O'Connor. I think he's a very elegant player. he treats the game with respect. The way he plays, the way he presents himself. I'm a big fan of Joe. Actually, I think he's good for snooker.
Yeah, he's a good player. He obviously got the final, the event before. We're both coming off, you know, both coming off a good season, I suppose. Really, maybe you could say we probably shouldn't have played each other because we both probably should have been there. But it is what it is, and that's the way the rankings are.
And someone has sent in a question actually regarding that. Would you swap the maximums for a victory over Joe O'Connor in that match?
Yeah, at the time, just after I come off, I got asked the same question, and I said, yeah, I would. I would trade the breaks for the win, and to get the Crucible. I suppose then, if you're at the Crucible, you still got a chance to win. Like what Zing Tong had just done. You've got a chance to win. Which yeah, at the time I thought, yeah, I would definitely trade it, but having a bit of time to sink in, I don't know. I don't really know if I would. Not just because of the money. Obviously, the money's great, but history. You create history. Um, I don't know. It's a tough one, but I think maybe I'd stick with the breaks now. Now after thinking about it for a bit, but I don't know. It's definitely a close one.
Yeah, I can see what. Yeah, it's obviously a big bonus for making those breaks
Yeah.
and the kudos of it. But then, I suppose the chance to win a world championship, but you'll have loads of chances
Yeah.
to win it.
Yeah, I suppose that's
It's
the thing. Like no one's like people say to me like you're mad for even thinking about it because like no one's done what I've done. Um, so I kind of see it that way as well. But obviously you're there to win the tournament, so it is it's a tough call.
and I suppose from Alan's point of view, he will be the answer in a quiz question one day. Who did Jackson Page knock in two maximums against? How, from his point of view, I mean, it's not embarrassing. If that's tennis and it's two bagels, 6 love, 6 love. That okay, that's a thrashing, but there's not much he can do about that. How can
No, no. I played well. After the first few frames of the first session, I've gone on a mad one, and like I've had 2 and 4 sevens, another 100, and then I've just been hitting break, break, break. When someone plays like that, there's not much anyone can do. It's happened. It's been done to me. Ronnie done it to me in the Worlds last year. Yeah, Mark done it to me again a couple of years ago in the World. It just happens.
no? But that's the quality of the tour these days. Anyone can. If someone is slightly off it, the other player ain't gonna be. It's
Yeah, exactly. These days on the tour, and it's whoever plays better on the day. Like I say, I've got Ahmed, Ronnie, Mark, Ahmed, me. Obviously, I played well against Allan. I've played Salvi before. I've missed a black for 400s against him. It's whoever plays better on the day these days. It's just brutal.
and I was supposed to bring this up earlier, but I'll bring it up now. Your style of playing, it isn't maybe the most orthodox style. Maybe you're a little bit faster. Your technique is slightly different. How did this come about? Is it you've tried different techniques
Um,
and that one just suits you? Or
no, I'm just completely natural. Whatever. Since I was a kid, I've always just played. Never really thought about it. Just played. I've managed to get my hand a little bit closer over the years. Still not close, but a lot closer than I was. And you see all the players have done that, like Ronnie. You see Ronnie, Mark. How far their hand back, how far back their hand was when they was like my age. And now obviously they're really close and they're tight. So yeah, I think but I don't even think that comes by trying to do that. I think it just happens over the years. Get tighter and tighter, and that's what's happened to me. You look at a video from a few years ago compared to now, and the hand will be a lot closer in behind the white. Still probably go a bit more, but yeah, that's just all natural progression, I think.
no, I remember watching these breaks, and especially when the frame was won. And I mean this with the greatest respect. It's almost like you're barely aiming, and they're just going right in the heart of the pocket. I mean, we hear this. Oh, this player is a natural talent, but what's an unnatural talent? I guess is my question. It's
I think no, I think it's all talent. Obviously, like who I played. Joe. He's obviously a slower player on the tour. A lot more methodical. I think it looks like he's based his game a lot off Selby, obviously from the same town as Selby, from the same
Mm.
place. Yeah, I think it's still, gallons of talent though. That doesn't. It's just some people need to play a bit slower maybe, and some just get on with it and play quick, and maybe because I think if I tried to play slow, I'd probably play worse. So yeah, I mean, it's just every style is different.
I've said a number of times on this podcast, if everybody played the same, the sport would be boring.
Yeah,
Clash of styles, which kind of makes it exciting.
yeah, yeah.
I like that about the sport. Yeah. And speaking of natural talents, someone who appears to be a very natural talent is the new world champion, Zhao Xintong.
Oh yeah, yeah. Obviously, he's been around for years and years. I played him in
Mm.
the Welsh Open when I was about 16, and he was about I want to say 21, something like that. But he was still like top 32, I think. Um, and yeah, yeah. He's been around for years. Everyone knew. There was three of them at the time: Xing Tong, Yu Long, and Bing Tao, and everyone knew them three were going to win some big events. So I don't think Yu Long has yet, but obviously Bing Tao won the Masters, Xing Tong won the UK, and now the world. Yeah, I think everyone knew it was gonna happen. It's just the question now is who's around to stop him, really.
So this question of Zhao Yulong, he's come up a lot on this podcast. And okay, he's not actually won a ranking event, I do know that, but he's made a few finals. But it's not just the finals, he's been a really consistent player. So 17 ranking event quarterfinals for Zhao Yulong.
You long, yeah,
I mean, when you look at it, 17 ranking event quarterfinals, that's not bad.
yeah,
And
yeah,
but I
yeah. He's
wouldn't
a solid
stop
player.
him.
Yeah,
Yeah, he is.
I think it's just the only thing I think of. I don't know how many finals he's been to, but he's been to a couple, I think, and maybe it's pressure. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, you think he probably will win one at some point. Um, I don't know the age difference between them all. I think Xing Tong might be the oldest, but yeah, I mean, he's still in his 20s, I think. So there's plenty of time for him as well.
And Zhao Xintong, he's up to number 11 in the world ranking now. There is a lot of controversy. Some players have been very outspoken on the points situation. Okay, he's in the competition, he's earned the prize money, no one argues with that. But the fact that he's keeping his points for next season, there seems to be a little bit of trouble over this.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose if you're 64 and he's coming down now, you're a bit gutted. But at the same time, everyone knows the score. Everyone knows that that's the criteria. You see top ups. You see top ups playing, and they get a chance. Through the 1 year list, or if they can get a 64 in a year, that's a way they can get back on. I think that's just the way it's been for years, and I don't see why everyone is causing a fuss over it because that's the way it's always been. So, and let's be honest, he's going to be there anyway. Even if you take him off him now, or he got to start again, it's not going to make any difference. Yeah, that's just the way it's always been. So I don't really get it, to be honest, why everyone's causing a fuss over it.
Well, I'm not going to say there are more important things to worry about, but if something's going to happen,
Yeah,
control the controls, I believe,
I
is
feel
the
like the only one. I feel like the only one that could be a bit gutted is number 64, obviously, that he's knocked out, which is actually, I think, and he's on his first year anyway, so it's pretty irrelevant to him because he's probably gonna be a seed anyway for the China events and stuff like that, being number 65, and you'd probably think someone wouldn't enter. May not be the case. So in that case, he would be a bit gutted, but I think the only one I think he's kicked out Carter of the Shanghai Masters. So Carter would be quite gutted about that. So I kind of get that, but at the end of the day, that's what he's capable. That's what he's always capable of. I think everyone knew that. So it's just the way it is.
No, this. Well, I think I've always thought that the Shanghai event is a great way to kick off the season. In a city like that, the top players in the rankings, it's a great way to start the season. But it's a long way in terms of travel. How do you feel about traveling to play snooker?
Um, yeah, I mean, I don't mind. It's the way it is. It is. You know you sign up for. You know you got to do it. A lot of the tours in China. And now obviously we've got Saudi as well, and other places in Europe. Yeah, I'm used to it. I don't mind. Yeah, I'm getting better on the food side of China as well. Being less fussy. I'm going out for hot pots and stuff, which I never would have done before. But yeah, I think that's just from being with Mark because he'd eat absolutely anything. So yeah, no, I'm used to it. It's fine.
I see it a lot on Twitter. Some of the players, maybe if they're making a connection in Dubai or Doha, some of the players do complain. My God, airport food is not that good, or airport food is really expensive. Long layovers. I was in Hong Kong actually for the World Grand Prix final. Obviously, I wasn't
Yeah,
playing, but the but Stuart Bingham, who was in the final, he said that his flight was delayed 14 hours back from Hong Kong. And it's not just like
yeah,
it's 2 hours down the road.
yeah,
Maybe you can get a train or something. It's if worst comes to worst. But no, I know some players they love the experience of traveling to a new city and
yeah,
playing
yeah,
in front of a new crowd, a new arena. I can imagine that's
yeah.
kind of exciting.
Yeah, Hong Kong was brilliant. It was a massive, massive arena. It took us about 2 minutes to walk out, I think. But it was really good.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'd say it's a long way to travel too, but we was already in China anyway. Well, I think most players were already in China anyway for the World Open in Yushan. So I just got to train them from Yushan to Hong Kong, so it wasn't too bad. Long flight home, but the flight home's never great because unless you got the trophy, then I haven't experienced that feeling yet. But I'm sure it'll be a good flight home then. But yeah, flight home's not ideal if you lose. Even when I got the semis and lost to Judd, I was gutted, because I felt like I had more to give. But yeah, it's tough going home unless you got the trophy.
and I know a lot of the players do head out. Believe some of the players are out now in China. I've
Yeah,
seen on social media that Kyron Wilson, Stuart Bingham, Judd Trump are out in the Far East.
yeah. Mark is there as well. Mark's I don't know what he's out there for, but he's out there as well with them. Yeah.
But this is a nice way to play in new arenas, maybe get new people
Uh,
involved, get new fans involved with snooker. Is this something you
yeah.
do a lot?
I'm not sure what they're doing out there at the moment. I think it's just I don't know. I don't really know, to be honest. Maybe exhibitions and stuff out there. I don't know, but yeah, I've done a couple. I've done a couple. I've done a lot of exhibitions. Yeah, but I've done one in Finland last year. I think they're doing that again this year. That was a great one. It was a new country, and they love it out there. The arena was packed, and it was really really surprising, really, 'cause you wouldn't expect it. But yeah, they absolutely love snooker out there. Apart from that, I've been to China a few times. Most of them are for World Snooker events. Played the CBSA event, or may work out to have to do some stuff there in the future, and maybe after the 147s and stuff. But we'll see. Yeah, it's going well.
That's a bit of pressure now. People are going to be expecting 147s every other frame.
Yeah. So I've got a few
So you got
exhibitions
to look
booked
better.
in. So yeah,
But
pressure
you
to
are sorry.
give the goods, I suppose.
But you are planning some exhibitions over the summer.
Yeah. I did put an ad out on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and stuff like that, just to say that I will do some. Um, I didn't know if there'd be a great deal of interest. Obviously, after what I did, I knew there was a chance that it could have been. But yeah, I booked in for a few already. There's not many spots left, to be honest. There's a couple in June, couple in July, couple in August. But I'm talking like 2 dates in each probably left that I can do because of working on the World Snooker calendar as well. But yeah, we got one next weekend. We got two then, or one in June, one in July, all in Wales, which was quite surprising. The one next week isn't, but the two others are booked in Wales, which is quite surprising because they just got on Tredegar to watch me. I was thinking, you know what I mean? I was thinking most of them would be abroad or England or something like that. But I suppose it's good support from Wales. That they want to see me play in their local clubs, I suppose. So yeah, no, it's good. It's going well.
Well, you are one of the more entertaining players to watch on the tour, so I can understand that. Where can people find more information on this? On your social
Yeah,
media?
so all my social medias accounts I should have it pinned at the top of each account with my email and all details and how to contact me on there.
And over the summer, so you'll be doing some shows. Are you going to take some time off?
Yeah, I'm going on holiday for 2 weeks. Actually going tomorrow, Tenerife. But in the middle of it, I do have to come home to do an exhibition that I obviously agreed to do. But then I'll fly straight back up to Tenerife, so I'll miss like a day, so it's okay. But
Okay,
yeah, yeah, it's all good.
2 weeks in Tenerife. Well, nearly 2 weeks for you. Yeah. Who are you going with?
All the family's going, so me, my girlfriend, my boy, my mum, dad, her mum and dad, the two nans, two of our friends. Yeah, everyone's going.
And how old is your son now?
So he's about 4.5 months, I think I want to say. Yeah.
So the 147 bonus will come in handy for that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Yeah.
Good, yeah. Well, no, I hope you have a great time, and
Cheers, thank you.
you have the opportunity to relax after what's been
Yeah.
a whirlwind of attention for a few
Yeah. It's
weeks.
been good.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to say thank you for your time. It's been great chatting to you. Great chatting to
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
You're always
Thank
welcome
you.
back on the Snooker Hall podcast, and that's a pretty good wrap up, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's all right.
But yeah, Jackson, thanks for your time.
Yeah, cheers, thank you.
A big thank you to Jackson Page for joining me on the Snooker Hall podcast. He's a really nice guy, and I wish him the best for the coming seasons. Next time on the Snooker Hall podcast, another guest. The guests keep coming. Andres Petrov, the Talon Lamborghini, will be here to talk about Q School. That comes up later in the month, and it will be great to get the insight of somebody who has been there before. If you could take a moment to leave a 5-star review on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, it would help other snooker fans find this show. And if you want to send in any questions, any thoughts, any opinions, any memories, the email address is contactus@thesnookerhall.com. And thank you, by the way, to those who sent in questions for Jackson. I incorporated them into the conversation as best I could. Keep an eye on your podcast feed for the episode with Andres Petrov, and there will be more guests over the summer. So please keep an eye on the Snooker Hall podcast on social media at the Snooker Hall on X, Blue Sky, and Instagram. That is it for today. Thank you for listening, and until next time, take care.